Welcome po muli sa ating channel, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome sa ating pang-anim na video dito sa subject na special crime investigation, no? So itutuloy lang po natin yung pong fifth video. So let us start with the first question. What do you call the forms of evidence that can be addressed to the senses of the court? Letter A, real evidence. Letter B or Bravo, object evidence. Charlie, autoptic evidence. Or Delta, all of the above. And the answer for this question is Delta. That is all of the above. Yan. So autoptic evidence, object evidence, or real evidence, evidence which can be addressed to the senses of the court, no? Yan. Then follow-up question. If real evidence, object evidence, autoptic evidence are addressed to the senses of the court, then what are the senses of court? Ha? Yan. So ano nga ba yung pong mga composition ng court? Diba? Jurisdiction, judge, and venue. At sino nga ba ang may sense doon? Yung pong judge. So kung ano ang sense ng isang normal na tao, yung po ay sense ng judge. Diba? So what are the senses of court? We have the sense of sight, also known as visual sense. Sense of hearing, also known as auditory sense. Sense of taste is known as gustatory sense. Sense of smell, also known as olfactory sense. The sense of touch, also known as sense of tactician, tactile, or also known as cutaneous sense. No? So pagka sinabi nating real evidence, pwedeng makita, mapakinggan, matikman, maamoy, o kaya naman ay mahawakan. No? Yan. So yun po yung sense of court, no? That is being used in order to evaluate the real evidence. Okay, yan. Now next question. Mr. Juan de la Cruz, a medical practitioner, is testifying in court regarding the crime that he have witnessed. Therefore, he is considered as letter A, a physician. Bravo, expert witness. Charlie, ordinary witness. And Delta, medical legal officer. So I will give you 5 seconds to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. No? And the answer for this question is ordinary witness. Okay? When it comes to testimonial evidence, ladies and gentlemen, there are 2 types of witness in court. We have the ordinary witness, no? And we have the expert witness testimony. Diba? So, ano nga ba yung kaibahan ng dalawa? Bakit nga ba si Juan de la Cruz, doktor naman, pero bakit ordinary witness siya? Sapagkat siya ay nagtitestify or nagbibigay ng kanyang testimonya base lamang sa kanyang nasaksihan, no? So, ano nga ba yung pong expert witness, no? Or yung expert witness testimony? The testimony of an expert witness is called as expert witness testimony if such person will testify in court based on his expertise or based on what was examined. For example, kung si Mr. Juan de la Cruz sana ay nagte-testify tungkol doon sa kanyang inautopsy, tungkol doon sa kanyang pinag-aralan and examine, then that's the time that he will be called as an expert witness. Bakit? Sapagkat siya po ay dalubhasa doon, no? Yan. Example, yung pong fingerprint examiner. In-examine po yung latent prints na galing sa crime scene at yung pong fingerprints noong pong suspect o yung standard fingerprints. Pinagkumpara po yon. Then, pagka nag-testify po yung fingerprint examiner sa korte is called as expert witness sapagkat kanyang pinag-aralan yung bagay na pinipresenta niya sa korte. No? Yan, so expert witness. So, valid kung ang isang tao ay nagbibigay ng testimonya base sa kanyang nasaksihan then yung tao na yun ay considered as ordinary witness. Okay? And so ordinary witness are those witnesses who testify in court based on what was perceived. Nagtitestify or nagbibigay ng testimonya base sa nakita, base sa napakinggan, base sa kanilang naamoy, natikman, o kaya naman ay nahawakan or nadarama. Yan, gamit ang cutaneous sense or nadama. Diba? So, yun po yung sagot dito sa second question. Okay, so let us proceed to the next question. A blind can be a witness. Correct. So, this is a follow-up question to the previous question. Kaya sabi kasi doon, yung pong ordinary witness are those witness who testify based on what they have perceived. Diba? So, base sa kanilang nakita, napakinggan, nahawakan, natikman, o kaya naman ay narinig. No? O ngayon, ang tanong, pwede bang maging witness ang bulag? Correct. Sabi doon, no? No, yes, true, false. And the answer is yes, no? Pero hindi pwedeng maging eyewitness, syempre. Pero pwedeng maging witness. No? Pwedeng maging testigo base sa kanyang narinig, no? Yan. So, sino ba ang pwedeng maging witness? Okay? Sabi sa rules on evidence, diba? All who can perceive and in so perceiving can make known their perception to others may be a witness or witnesses except those who are absolutely or relatively disqualified under the law. No? Yan. For example, yung pong mag-asawa, yung pong partner ay hindi pwedeng maging testigo laban sa kanyang asawa except in cases of concubinage or adultery, diba? Yan. So yung pong pare ay disqualified na mag-testify laban doon sa nagkumpisal. So mga ganon, yun po yung disqualified under the law. Okay? Yan. So as long as the person can perceive, then he or she can be a witness in court. Okay, so tandaan nyo po yon, mga kapangarap. So during the investigation, sa isang krimen, merong tambay na isang bulag doon sa pinangyarihan ng krimen. Example lang po, no? Yan. Then, meron siyang narinig. So, pwede ba siyang mag-testify base sa kanyang narinig? Ay, syempre, pwede po yan, no? Yan. Susunod. Evidence is blank if it is not excluded by rules of court or other laws. Letter A, material. B, relevant. C, competent. D, admissible. And so, evidence is blank if it is not excluded by rules of court or other laws. No? So, dun pa sa previous video, dinidiscuss natin yung pong evidence. Okay? And the types of evidence. Admissibility of evidence, kailangan po ito sa special crime investigation. Bakit? Kasi pagka nagkolekta ka ng evidence, the evidence should not be excluded by rules of court or other laws. Okay? Kasi kapag mali, yung pong yung ginawa, hindi po nasunod yung tinatawag na chain of custody of evidence, anong pwedeng mangyari, yun po ay pwedeng ikadismiss noong pong kaso, no? Yan. So, kung hindi excluded ng rules of court yung evidence, it is letter A, material, B, relevant, C, competent, and delta, admissible. Oh, the answer here is competent. That is the competency of evidence. Okay? Yan, it is competent. If it is not excluded by rules, kasi sinunod mo yung pong proper procedure on how to collect evidence, nasunod po yung chain of custody, then such evidence can be admitted in court. Okay? Yan. Sa materiality of evidence naman, hindi kung basta-basta lang po yung pong mga dinadampot mong mga bagay-bagay sa crime scene. For example po, doon sa crime scene may bato, may dugo, baka pati yung bato kunin mo. Take note, the evidence that should be gathered should be material. Pag sinabi nating material, the evidence should has a weight. Meron po dapat kayang patunayan doon po sa kasong pinag-uusapan. Or doon po sa kasong under investigation. Ano? Yan. Kunwari, yung pong crime scene po ay sa basurahan, di ba? Baka napakaraming plastic doon, kolektahin mo lahat. Tandaan, yung pong evidence na i-collecta are those material to the case under investigation. Okay? Ayan. So, natatawa ako dati, no? Or natutuwa ako. Hindi natatawa. Natutuwa ako dati doon po sa isang nag-simulate, no? Na kung saan ang crime scene po ay sa basurahan, lahat ng plastic ay pinaglalagay sa sako dahil evidence daw. So, take note of the materiality of evidence. The evidence that you will gather should have a weight or it should prove something in court. Diba? Then, relevant, the evidence must be connected to the issue that is under investigation. Okay? It must be connected. Yan. Then, admissible, the evidence is admissible in court if it is relevant, it is connected to the issue, and it is not excluded by rules. And take note also, the evidence should has a weight. Okay? Yan, hindi lang po dapat admissible, no? It should also be material. Meron dapat kayang patunayan doon po sa case under investigation. Okay? So next question. Which of the following is not considered as element of crime under the crime triangle but is very important in the course of investigation? Intent, motive, opportunity, instrumentality. Yan. And the answer for this is motive. No? Motive is the impelling power which pushes a person to commit a crime. The intent is the mens rea or purpose to commit, and it must always be proven in court, yung intention. No? Kasi kung iba yung intention, for example, sinugatan mo yung tao sa puwet, do you have the intent to kill? Wala. Kung walang intent to kill, papasok lamang yung kaso sa physical injuries. Diba? Yan. Then, the motive is the reason in committing a crime. It is proven in court if the identity of perpetrator is uncertain. No? Yan. And the motive is very important in investigation of cases wherein you need to establish the identity of the perpetrator. Yan. Then, the opportunity is the chance to commit the crime. Then, instrumentality are instruments and techniques used in committing crime, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? The next question, dito po sa specific type of evidence under homicide investigation na po ito, no? As a future investigator, bloodstain analysis is important, and based on studies conducted, the narrow end or the elongated bloodstain will portray or will typically point off, letter A, the direction of travel, Bravo, the origin of stains, Charlie, the swabbing, or Delta, the analysis. Ayan. So, if the blood stain is elongated based on what we call as blood stain analysis, no? Dahil importante po ito sa homicide investigation or any case which is related to homicide in the analysis at the crime scene. So, yung pong elongated blood stains, yung pong mas maliit na bahagi ay nagpapakita ng tinatawag na direction of travel, ladies and gentlemen. No? Yan. So, yung po namang tinatawag na blood splatter analysis, blood splatter, kung gaano kakalat yung pong patak ng dugo, no? Ay napaka-importante, especially sa shooting incident, no? For example, binaril yung isang tao tapos yung pong dugo, no, ay nawisik doon sa pader. Pagka mas maliliit yung wisik, ibig sabihin mas mataas yung power ng firearm kasi mas mabilis po yung bullet. Ah, sa area naman kung saan ito ay pumatak sa flooring or floor, then pagka mas mataas yung pinanggalingan ng dugo, for example nakatayo, pumatak yung dugo, then mas malawak po yung splatter kaysa sa mas mababa yung dugo. Yan, and ginagamit po yon para makita po kung ano ang nangyari doon sa crime scene bago po namatay yung biktima. Example lang po yan. And how to collect blood, no? Paano nga ba kinukolekta po yung mga blood sa crime scene? Okay? If the evidence is on materials or removable materials, or the blood is on removable materials, then what will you do is to remove the whole object. Then sa packing and storage naman, put each piece of material in a paper packaging and seal with tape. If the material is wet or moist, pack each piece of material in a plastic bag sealed with tape. Open and allow air dry on arrival at the police station, then send to the PNP Crime Laboratory in wrapping paper or an envelope. Then pools of blood, collect blood on swabs. In larger accumulations of blood, take several samples from various places. Kung maraming patak, then definitely kuha ka ng sample sa bawat area kung saan pumatak yung dugo, no? And put the swabs in swab wrapper or in a folded piece of paper, package in an envelope, then store, dry, and cool. So kung makikita nyo, no, pare-parehas po yung packing and storage ng biological evidence. Okay? Yan. Blood in water, collect on several swabs. Put the swabs in swab wrapper or folded piece of paper. Or kung umaagos naman na tubig or marami naman masyado yung tubig, then collect water with a clean pipette or syringe. Yan. Then pour the water into a clean dry test tube with the cork or vacuum with a purple cork. Then if the blood is dry, no? Ito, no, kasi napalitan na ito. If the blood is dry, kasi dati kinukuskus gamit ang scalpel po ito, no? However, under the new rule, if the blood is dry, kunwari tagpuan po sa flooring po yan, at immovable po yung object or hindi po removable, no? If possible, cut away part of the surrounding material. But if it cannot be cut, so what will you do? If it is not possible to cut, moisten the swab with water and rub it until it becomes dark and red or until the swab absorbs all the blood. So lagyan mo lang ng konting tubig, yung pong pang swab, tsaka mo i-swab doon sa dried blood, no? Hanggang lumipat yung blood. Kasi dati pagka kinukuskus ng scalpel, pati po yung mga foreign objects na andun po sa area kung saan mo kukuskusin yung blood, ay sasama po doon sa blood na makokolekta. Okay, and the blood will be contaminated, of course. And put each sample in a paper bag or envelope. Keep dry and cool. Put the swabs in a swab wrapper or folded piece of paper, package in an envelope, and store dry and cool. Okay, so yun po yung a collection of blood, ladies and gentlemen, and blood stain analysis and blood splatter analysis. Okay, yan. Next question. It is a test to determine whether the group of blood that was discovered at the crime scene, especially when the blood stains was discovered in different places, to determine whether the blood belonged to the victim or suspect. Letter A, Hemin test. Letter B, precipitin test. Charlie is grouping test. and delta is Takayama's test. No? So, gusto mong malaman kung iisang tao lamang ang may-ari ng blood na galing sa iba't ibang area, o ano ang test na gagamitin, ay yung pong tinatawag na grouping test. No? Kung yan nga ba ay type A, type B, type O, or type AB. Yung pong grouping test that was introduced by Carl Landsteiner to determine whether the group of blood belongs to only one person or belongs to more than one person. Okay? Yan, and some of these tests are confirmatory tests for blood, no? Yan. Next question. A blood was discovered at the crime scene, and it was submitted to the crime laboratory to determine whether the origin is from human or from animal. What is the test that should be conducted? Whether A. Hammond test, Bravo precipitin test, Charlie benzidine test, or Delta Takayama's test? And the answer for this question is precipitin test. Okay, so take note of that. The test to determine whether the blood that was discovered is from human or from animal, the test that should be conducted is called precipitin test. And the test that should be conducted to determine whether the blood belongs to one person or not, and the test that should be conducted is, of course, grouping test. Yan, yung pong benzidine test, Takayama's test, are confirmatory test for blood. Okay? Next question. A hair strand was found at the crime scene. As a SOCO team member, to avoid contamination, which of the following tools will you use to collect the said hair strand? Letter A, scissor, B, forceps, Charlie stethoscope, and Delta white gloves. No? So hair strand. This was given before, no? The instrument that you will use if you will collect hair strand to avoid contamination, and directly you will put it in a piece of paper, that is forceps, no? Forceps. Yan. So sabi nga nila, pagka yung daw pong evidence ay very small, no? Tiny, yan, extremely small, then you will use the tape lifting. Tulad nung pong latent prints, di ba? Lalagyan mo ng fingerprint powder, at ang i-collect mo naman doon ay yung fingerprint powder para makuha mo yung pattern or fingerprint patterns, di ba? So, anong ginagamit pang lift nun? That is tape lifting, no? Yan. Then, if the evidence is small, then use forceps, and also to avoid the contamination of the piece of evidence, especially kung biological samples yan, no? Yan. Then, if the evidence can be taken with your hands, then use your hands, but you need to use gloves. Yan. Diba? Okay? So, next question po tayo. It is a branch of biology, chemistry, and medicine, more specifically pharmacology, concerned with the study of the adverse effects of chemicals on living organism. Ito po ay ikinakandak kapag meron pong namatay at yung patay ay hinihinala pong namatay dahil po sa panlalason, di ba? Letter A, toxicology, Bravo, psychology, Charlie, psychiatry, and Delta is serology. So, the branch of science that is being conducted to determine whether a certain person died because of a toxic material, or hinihinala po ng nilason, yan, or namatay dahil sa lason, then yung pong tinatawag pong toxicology. Okay, that is a branch of science that is being conducted. Diba? Yan. At mas mahirap na mawala yung pong toxic doon po sa hairs, doon po sa follicles of the hairs. Doon po usual na matatagpuan. Diba? Yan. Then, yung pong psychology, study of mind in relation to behavior, no? Yan, wherein kapag meron pong problema, yung pong behavior, it is directly related to your brain, na kung saan kailangan po ninyo ng treatment, di ba? Yan, pagka psychiatry naman, study of mind in relation to behavior, but what you need is not a treatment, but you need medicine. Then serology is study of body fluids. Yan. Next question po tayo, and the last question for this part 6, no, or 6th video, okay, for special crime. What is the method of identification that was used to identify Julia Campbell? Siya po yung foreigner na namatay somewhere in Ifugao, no? Yan. So, paano ba siya na-identify? Okay? So, letter A, through DNA, Bravo, fingerprint, Charlie is dental identification, and Delta is state of clothing and appearance, no? And the answer for this question is dental identification. Okay? Kaso sa dental identification, kailangan po ng previous record mula sa dentist kung saan nagpagawa po yung isang tao. Then it will be compared to the dental structures of the victim. So ganon din po yung nangyari kay Julia Campbell, no? Yan. So nakita po kasi yung pong kanyang yung pong kanyang pangatlo at pang-14 na ngipin sa itaas, no, ay mayroon pong pasta. Yan, ayon sa kanyang record na tumutugma naman doon po sa kanyang dental structures. Okay? Yan. Okay, so hanggang doon muna mga kapangarap. Patuloy po kayong sumubaybay para po sa pang-pitong bahagi ng ating subject na special crime investigations.